But today we're gonna do planks, we're gonna do crunches, we're gonna do bird dogs, and we're gonna do V-ups. We're gonna do 4 sets of those with a minute and a half off in between, well actually 2 minutes off in between because it's so hot. So planks, if you're doing a plank and you're on the ground, that's great. We're gonna start with 30 seconds. I'm reading notes. If you're doing a seated crunch, you're holding the crunch for as long as you possibly can during that 30 seconds. We are going to tack on time each time, so don't feel like if you have to kind of come in and out of that, that's all part of that isometric that we talked about last week, is that when it's contracted, that's great. When you let it go, all the blood will rush in, so you can just kind of keep doing that throughout the whole time. During crunches, we'll all be doing crunches together. Same time, if you're in a seated crunch, that is where you're going to do the twist crunch. So kind of twisting over here, let me bend this down a little bit, twisting over to one side. When I get to 5, we're gonna do 10 crunches on each set. And then we're gonna do bird dogs. Bird dogs, we're gonna do 10 on each side. So it'll be a bit longer, but you guys have been doing this for a bit, so you should feel okay. And then if you're doing a seated crunch again, this time you're doing a high crunch. So that's where you're kind of seated here, nice full belly in the front, and your arms are above you. If you can't lift your arms up, you want to bring them up as high as you possibly can and keep that core tight the entire time. And then V-ups, we are going to do 10 of those with or without a weight. It's up to you. If you're doing a seated crunch there, you're going to be not doing a crunch, but you're going to be doing a push down. So it's the arms down on the ground or onto your chair, and you're pushing up as much as you can. The idea that the pinnacle of that is trying to hover your bum above the chair. But either way, you're keeping that core tight. All 4 of these exercises for all of us are keeping that core as tight as we possibly can. What we're going to start with are a couple stretches just to get us a little bit limber. So let's go ahead and start with just like a nice push down, kind of arched back, kind of just let that back open up, let that spine open up, and let that front open up, because that's what we're going to work on so much. Like a couple nice deep breaths in and out, in through your nose, out through your mouth. I'm just breathing the smoke in through my nose and then blowing it out my mouth, which is great. And then we're going to do a little twist. So I cross my legs. You don't have to cross your legs, but all I want you to do is do a nice little twist to the side as gently as you can, not like ranking into it. So we're just kind of turning slowly, just so it loosens up that spine a little bit, because we're going to kind of get that spine tight when we do crunches. And I'm just doing a 10 count. And just hold it. And then we're twisting the other way. It's like a top, you have to undo it. And you probably find you are loose one way over the other. I'm much looser going to the right. I think it's because of my spinal fusion. Maybe the screws on the right side are bigger. Okay, now let's just jump in. So we're going to start with a 30-second plank or a 30-second crunch. I will start the timer, and away we go, up into a crunch. Or I'm sorry, plank. Or you're doing just a regular seated crunch. And we're doing this for 30 seconds. That's 15. Coming up on 25. 3, 2, 1. Good. Now we're going to do our own crunches together. If you're doing the high crunch, I will have you kind of take a little break when we get to number 5. If you're doing a crunch on the ground, remember you're just peeling up your shoulder blades. So hands are behind your back, not interlaced, just touching your fingers. And you're just coming up to here and holding that. So we're going to do 10 of those. If you're doing the high crunch, I'll kind of have you rest at when we get to number 5. So here we go, we're going to do 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're seated crunch, let that crunch out for a second. Now we're going again. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we're going to bird dogs or a seated twist. Bird dogs, we're going to do 10 on each side. Seated twists, you're going to twist. When we get to 10 on one side, you're switching sides with us. So remember, bird dogs are as straight as you can be. You're kind of pointing out the wabbit. That's the idea. Here we go. 10 for whatever side you want to start on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you're seated, you're switching sides as well. Going the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you're seated, come back to that neutral zone now. So now for V-ups, we're going to do 10 of those. I lost my weight. I found my weight. Seated, remember, you're trying to hover your bum. We're going to do those. We're going to do 10 of those. If you're hovering, you're going to hold at that 5 seconds. I'll give you that break again, just like we did on the bird dogs, or on the crunches. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I didn't give a break out there for the break. Sorry about that. Okay, 2 minutes. Drink water. I'm mostly telling myself that because I'm sweating. Yeah. So planks, we're going to stay at 30 seconds. Crunches, we're going to stay at 10. Bird dogs, we're going to drop now. We're going to go 10, 8, and then 6 for the third and 5 for the last. So that one is the only one that will change each time. Guys are doing great. You all look really happy. Why am I the only one sweating? I feel like you guys are all going to.
I'm sweating.
What? Are you sweating? Good. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Jeremiah says he's sweating too. So coming up on a minute. So front planks to start for 30 seconds, or the seated crunch. Ooh. I kind of like laying like this because it stretches my back. So we're just coming up on a minute and a half. So if you're doing a front plank, you kind of want to start to get into that position. That's just a minute and a half. Coming up on 145. Okay, here we go. 30-second front planks. Reset. Okay, here we go. Or front crunch, holding the whole time. Keep that body nice and straight if you're doing a plank. Remember, you can drop a leg down if you need to take weight. If you're doing a crunch in the front, keep it tight, tight, tight. Now, if you're doing a crunch, let it out a little bit. Relax your tummy. And now tighten it again. Really crunch down, all the way down through your hips. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Now we're doing crunches all together. So either the high crunches or the regular crunches on the back. Doing 10 of these. I'll try to give that break in the middle. So remember, if you're doing a crunch, if you're doing a seated crunch, try to crunch. You try to think all the way from your hips to your chest. Keep all of that tight as you can. Here we go for 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rest those crunches in the middle. Now start again. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice. Okay, bird dogs or side twist and crunch. Now we're going to go down to 8. So this will be a descending little action for us. Whichever side you want to start on. Folks doing the twist crunch, I'll switch you when we get to the 8 to switch to the other side. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Switching sides, same with the twisting crunch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice. And last one is V-ups or the hover. So I'll try to do that break again. If you're doing V-ups, we're going to do 10 seated hovers. Little break at the 5. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take a little break, let that tummy out. Go again. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Beautiful. Half of the way there. 2 minutes. Water break. And the only change here is we're going to go up with planks. So we're going to go to 40-second planks. Oops.
Oh, be careful. It looks like you're going to roll into the San Francisco Bay.
I know. He's like, I'm kind of jealous of that view right now. Look how clear it is there. Beautiful San Francisco.
Gwen did a youth program.
Mm-hmm.
It was great, and she put these backgrounds on. One of them, she was on the end of a kayak. She was going backwards. So
Oh, sweet.
she kept, like running into things.
Paul just went into space. Dude, how you had these like ready to go?
Yeah,
it's like,
I still haven't figured out how to even do that.
yo, Paul, you're such a millennial. I just watched oh, I totally blank on the name. It's a sci-fi movie, and that picture reminds me of the poster I just saw. Coming up on 1.5 minutes. So remember, on planks we're going to go to 40. Same with the crunch. We will do. I'll try to at 20 have, if you're doing a seated crunch, kind of let it out for about 5 seconds and then tighten it again. It kind of encourages that isometric. All right, coming up on 1 minute 52, 53, 4. So go ahead and get into that plank or get ready to do that crunch. Now reset. Now we're going for 40. If you want to at 30, if you want to switch for 5 on each side, you can do that. If not, that's okay. So we're going to pull up into our planks and our crunches right now. down. Keep it nice and tight. All the way down to 25. That's where we'll let it out for a little bit. That's 15. So if you're doing that seated crunch right now, go ahead and relax it for 3, 2, 1. Now tighten it again. Now we're going to 40. If you want to flip over, you can. And then flip to the other side. And that's 40. Beautiful. Reset. Now the other regular crunches or the high crunch. 10 of these guys. Fingers behind your head, not interlaced. 10 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go ahead and hold that crunch. Everybody let their middle crunch out. Now start again. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lovely. Bird dogs going down to 6. And, or you're doing the twist crunch. Switch it when we switch. Okay, 6 in a row. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you're twisting, twist the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nice. Okay, last thing is the V-ups. Oh, it's so hot. Okay, 10 of these, or you're hovering. We're gonna hover for that 5 count. Take a little break, and then we'll start the last 5. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're hovering, just set down. And there we go again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice. Okay, 2 minutes. One more set. You guys are cruising. Everybody's happy. Nobody's falling over. Paul is still in space. Everybody looks really happy. My son's, that's who keeps going back and forth. Their school, they were supposed to start school, but he goes to NAU in Flagstaff, and they just canceled classes to indoors, or I'm sorry, online. So no in-person classes. And now he's trying to figure out what he's going to do. He's a sophomore, but he has to, he's paying rent, so he's not that excited about paying rent in Flagstaff and not being there.
Oh, that's a bummer.
That is a bummer. But he made his sister's room, which is that room, into that's his school room. So his class, I mean, it's fine. He's used to doing online stuff because they had to do that last year. But, I mean, it's not the exact college experience in your sister's bedroom, you know, talking to your professors online. It's like,
yeah.
ugh.
All the classes at Cal State Long Beach are all online now also, unless it's like essential to have it.
Are they going to do that the whole year, or is it just this semester?
It's looking like it's going to be going on for a little while.
That's kind of what I think is happening. They were going to reassess at the end of August, but it's just not going to change that much.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be for the whole fall semester for sure.
Yeah, well,
but I think it'll trickle into next year.
That's what I think too. NAU is like, I think they're doing that because they don't want people to drop out. So they're like, well, we're still thinking we're going to do it, but I'm like, oh man, and he's
people the option. I thought they were giving people the option of either online or in person.
They did do that for the rest of the, he can do that for the rest of the semester. He can opt out of in-person if he wants to. Right now they're saying they may have people come back in September, but they're also saying they don't know if they're going to do that. And if that's the case, then they'll just say everyone's online.
Yeah.
Okay, flipping over to a plank. Last set. So same here, we're doing 40 seconds, or you're doing a crunch for 40 seconds. We'll take a little break in the middle again. All right, here we go, off to the races. I don't think many colleges are going to do much in person for the foreseeable future.
What's he studying, Craig?
He wants to be a lawyer. He wants to do contract law, so he's doing a bunch of prerequisites for that, and then he'll figure out. He might transfer as well. He's thinking about transferring to CSU, which is obviously here, but he's waiting to see kind of what happens.
That's a good school, though. I've had a few friends that have graduated from there.
Yeah, and there's actually a really good law school in Arizona as well. That kind of they feed over to that one. So if he stays there, he's set up well as well. But it's just kind of like every school is having trouble. Ha! I forgot to switch you guys. That's all. Reset. Good. You guys went long. You went 50 seconds.
That was the plan.
Hey, Michael and I'll just talk. We're going to do 10 crunches, or you're doing a high reach crunch. And we'll take that 5 little break in the middle at number 5. Everybody else, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold that crunch, and everybody, if you're seated, let that crunch out. Now tighten up again. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bird dogs, now 5. Back to where we usually start. So 5 on each side, or you're doing a side twist crunch and holding that for the whole 5 repetitions. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switching sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good news. V-ups are the last thing. 10 of these, or the seated hovers. Oof. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're hovering, let that down. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Beautifully done, people. Now we're going to do another stretch. So let's do that twisting stretch again. So from a seated position, like I said, I cross my leg, drop my arm, and then I push. So let's go ahead and stretch that out. Hopefully you feel like you should feel a difference now. Should feel looser. That's the idea. I'm just going to hold it again for a 10 count. Cool. Switching sides. Same thing, just roll over into it. Your tummy shouldn't be tight at all. You should just be like Thanksgiving Day, like letting it all out. Sweatpants kind of a thing. Cool. Let's do that back arch again. So I like my arms nice and flat and just arching up forward. I'm gonna hold that for 10. To just try to get that tummy like to loosen up. Cool. Nicely done, peoples. So we added on today, actually. We added on time in planks accidentally, but it still worked really well. And we added time in added repetitions in bird dogs. So we don't do those every week, but we added, you actually doubled in your bird dogs, or if you were doing the twist crunch, you added probably a good 30 seconds to each of those. So we just keep getting more and more.